Jaguars. I don't know how to make a pivot to the Jaguars. There's got to be
You
a
had to get that
segue
off
in there
your
somewhere.
chest.
I just had to get that off my chest. I feel better now. This show is therapeutic. It may not be therapeutic for the audience. It may drive the audience to therapy, but it's very, very therapeutic for me personally. Anyway, the Jaguars are 0-3. Nothing therapeutic about that. Let's listen to both Doug Pederson and Trevor Lawrence after last night's embarrassing, humiliating blowout defeat.
It's real shocking, very disappointed. You hate to say it, but this is the reality of it. This is who we are right now, and we're not a very good football team, and we gotta get it fixed. We got to come up with some answers, and we got to do it in a hurry.
It's just one of those times where we don't have any momentum. It seems like everyone takes their turn on making a bad play at the wrong time, including myself. It seems really difficult to go forward. Can't find that rhythm right now, and we all have our share in it, and it takes us making the plays out there. Players play, coaches coach, and when we step on the field, we got to make the plays, and so we have to take all the accountability, all the criticism, all the scrutiny, because we're not doing that right now, and that's our job, is to go make the plays. And I know that I'm not playing as good as I can play, just point blank.
Hey, and when you get $55 million a year, you're going to get the scrutiny. You're going to get the criticism. One of the benefits of playing for the Jaguars, frankly, you're under a little more of a cloak of anonymity than you are if you were with a New York team, a bigger market team. That scrutiny is going to come for Trevor Lawrence, and it's definitely going to come for Doug Pederson. Devin, this is what owner Shad Khan of the Jaguars said less than a month ago. Winning now is the expectation. Make no mistake, this is the best team assembled by the Jacksonville Jaguars ever. Best players, best coaches, but most importantly, let's prove it by winning now. 0-3, 47-10, and they go to Houston this weekend. Doug Pederson's on pink slip watch for next Monday. If they lose in embarrassing fashion to a division rival on Sunday, after what happened on Monday night, he could be done. And I only say that because of what the owner said less than a month ago.
Yeah, and that was a thing that stuck out, was the way they lost. Like, to lose a game, and that happens in the NFL. You never want to be 0-3. The Bengals are 0-3 right now. Like, we're not talking about Zach Taylor getting fired, but to go out there and be down 34-3 at the half. And, listen, I don't have much room to talk about how bad they played. I was also a part of a game in Buffalo where we lost 47-10, and we couldn't get Buffalo to punt either. But, I'm gone out of New England. There's a reason. There's a lot of people gone from that season because you can't lose football games this way. And you mentioned Trevor Lawrence being in Jacksonville, the difference, and, compared it to being in New York. When you look at him and Daniel Jones's numbers, they're very similar. And you can't find a guy who gets killed more than Daniel Jones because of he's making $40 million and this and that, and he's not the guy, he's terrible. And meanwhile, we talk about Trevor Lawrence as a generational talent. Talked about that as when he came out. The contract backs it up that they still feel that way. He's a generational talent. So he has been a little bit saved being in Jacksonville, and the expectation or how many primetime games you have or the media coverage and how they follow the team compared to other teams. But this team has to do something. And, whether we agree or disagree with Shad Khan on this is the greatest Jacksonville Jaguars team assembled, coaches and players alike, like, that's his own opinion and that's his belief. And when you own something and you have the right to make decisions, if whatever you believe, whatever your perspective is, whatever your reality is, that is what it is. So if he thinks that, and you go and you lose 47-10, and now you're going to go to Houston and play a team that's going to be pretty pissed off the way that they just lost to Minnesota. So you're going to walk into a hostile environment on a team that, from watching D'Amico Ryans, they're going to be ready to go. They can't forget lose, embarrassing. Like, there's a little bit, I think they need to go win this game. They need to go to Houston and win because, like you said, Shad Khan didn't say they should be good or they should hang around. He expects to win, not to drop to 0-4, but to lose in a close game. He wants to see them go win against a division opponent.
And look, Trevor Lawrence seemed to be very almost nonchalant, Devin, about the fact that the scrutiny is going to come, the criticism is going to come. Here's an email I got after the game last night from a former NFL offensive coordinator. And obviously, I don't do myself any favors by naming names. You have to trust me that this isn't something I've made up, and hopefully you do. Maybe you don't. But this is the email that I received about Trevor Lawrence. Does not play the game with a passion. When first drafted by the Jaguars, he did mention that football was not his priority in life. And I had forgotten about those comments. But remember that? Remember that?
We know how that gets you going, too.
Remember that? And despite that generous and undeserved second contract, he definitely plays like football is not a priority. His play does not parallel his skill set. Don't see the leadership, the emotion, the excitement, going through the motions, taking the weekly check or disservices to his teammates, the organization, and the fans. And again, that's not my opinion. It's the opinion of somebody who was an NFL offensive coordinator. And you do want to see somebody pissed off. That was the one thing that I didn't detect from either Pederson or Trevor Lawrence. And I'm not saying anybody should be doing the Denny Green slam the microphone, you know, they are who we thought they were stuff. But as a fan of the Jaguars, and you're pissed off, Devin, you want to see them pissed off after what happened out on the field. What in the hell did we just experience, and what are we going to do to get better? And it was too chill. It was too accepting. And it was too just kind of going along with what they went along with out on the field. That's going to, I assume, if there are passionate Jaguars fans out there who haven't checked out on the season, that's going to piss them off.
And yeah, I think from a fan perspective, you like seeing that, because I'm always I hate when I see guys yelling and screaming on the sideline, and right away people are like, look at the leadership. How do you know? We don't know what's being said. That's somebody who's frustrated. They're mad. That's not necessarily leadership. So I understand when you're on the outside looking in, you would probably rather see maybe Pederson's not going nuts, but maybe he hits the table hard one time or like shows just a little aggression. I will say at the end of the day, I don't think any of that matters. They can be pissed. That's an emotion that happens in the moment, and then it's gone just like that. You move on to your day. What I'm interested to see from, the beat reporters and people that, what does the beginning of practice look like? What is the vibe when they get out there? And then for the players, does practice tempo change? Does Trevor Lawrence have a different sense of urgency about him? Is he on guys more than ever? Does Doug Pederson decide, hey, if we're going to lose in a way where you guys are going to come out and practice, and we're going to practice hard, and we're going to do everything a little bit harder than what we were doing? Like, that to me is always a thing. When you're 0-3 and things aren't going well, do you do the same thing and expect it to change? Like, that's insanity. Or do you say, you know what, something has to change here? Because the best teams I was on when things didn't go well, 2018, we lose Miami Miracle. Then we come back and we play Pittsburgh on the road. We lose again, 2 losses in the month of December. Whole world is falling around us. Tom Brady practiced different those next few weeks. Bill Belichick came in and told us the next 2 weeks were playoff games for us. We needed to approach it like the playoffs. And one thing for sure, he approached it like the playoffs, long meetings, hard practices. Like, we dug in and did things differently. It didn't matter what we said after the game. Jacksonville has to have a plan. Pederson has to have a plan. And I think most importantly, as the top guy in that organization, Trevor Lawrence needs to decide, maybe this is a little bit outside of my comfort zone, but the team needs to see him have more oomph about him. Maybe it's yelling at guys in practice. Maybe it's just coming to practice with an energy about him that's different than guys are used to seeing, because they need to do something different. What they're doing right now isn't working. So you can't stay and just say, well, that's not really who I am. Well, being 0-4 isn't who you want to be. Being a losing team isn't who you want to be. So I think he has to challenge himself to maybe step outside his comfort zone and be a different guy to help this team win.
Complicating matters for the Jaguars. There was an item last night from Ian Rappaport of NFL Media that their plane had some sort of an issue and wasn't going to leave until after 1 a.m. from Buffalo at the earliest. And they come home, Devin, and they go on the road this weekend. They don't even get a home game after the short week. It's short week, fly home, fly to Houston, and hope that you look better against the Texans. Because if you don't, we could be talking next Tuesday morning about Doug Pederson having been fired on Monday. And again, I'm not doing this gratuitously. The owner said what he said. And this team looks horrible right now. They're among the worst in football. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.